Hi business owners, Hanif here from the Golden Nuggets podcast. If you haven't heard already, we recently launched the Podium and it was well received. So the Podium is a community where you not only learn from us but also other business owners in the community. On top of that, you get to be featured for one episode on the podcast itself, to share about your business and promote the campaign that you are running. To be a part of the Podium, you simply need to sign up at tgnpodcast.com/thepodium. So this $250 startup price offer is only valid for the next 10 sign up. So see you on the Podium.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Golden Nuggets podcast. We are on part 3 still with Mr. Wahab. Take it away, Habi.
Alright, so just now, I mean, we really want to get into talk about your challenges that you face. Of course, you have shared your experiences and how a lot of things really fall into place, how you managed to catch some opportunities that is presented to you. But for you personally, has there ever been a point of time where you really feel you hit rock bottom and you feel like there is no way out? And maybe can you elaborate more on what was the situation like and how do you eventually overcome that?
Yeah, I think the lowest point in my life was still when I was still a student, when my father passed away at the age of 51 on the first day of retirement. He was a senior police officer.
Oh.
And so I was in just about finished year 2, about to go to year 3 in NTI lah.
Okay.
Known as NTI those days. So that was a really very, very challenging time because I'm the eldest of 3 children. My brother was my next youngest. I'm the eldest, so the next brother was I think 18 years old, and then the youngest brother was 16 years old. So for them was very harsh lah. And to lose a father at that age is not easy. And of course it was difficult for my mother also, and she always had a good life under my father being a senior police officer. We were then upper middle, I would say a kind of upper middle class type of family lah. We live in a condo, the kind of thing, you know. So comfortable, quite comfortable. We've come to the point where my father was very comfortable lah. And we were also comfortable, and my job was just to finish, graduate and then get a job and then start taking over and all that.
Yep.
So that was the lowest point in my life lah. Because little guidance, you know. Of course, you speak to friends and all that, but it's never the same kan.
Yeah.
So Alhamdulillah, I mean, I found my stride again lah. Graduated, got a job, and all. But dealing with that death, you never really get over it lah, because my father passed away at a very young age of a sudden heart attack.
51, yeah.
Sudden heart attack. So you just have to, I mean, agama, being steadfast in your religion is very important. That helps you to overcome all of these challenges. But I remember so because it's an NTI, and then of course the kuburan is at Pusaraman, right? Pusaraman, right? So every day I will go to his grave and
That's quite near, right?
And all that, you know. And you regret lah what you never tell your father, you know, that you love him, and you know, because Malay family you don't use the word love,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So but yeah lah, then I learned a lot about that lah, a lot about how to manage life, and eventually Alhamdulillah I got over it lah. So that was the lowest ebb of my
Personal
life lah. But once after I graduated, you know, got girlfriend and all that, you know, things all started getting better lah, right? Nothing was perfect. Nobody knew who I was. I was a young engineer. Started work as a design engineer, you know, 25, 26 years old, something like that. And then just work my way through lah. That was to me, that was the biggest challenge in my life. Okay. Biggest challenge. You see, I come to this conclusion: career is not a challenge, because job is a job. You can find any job anywhere. Rezeki you can cari anywhere.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So it's just whether what you do lah. I mean, sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes faster. Then there are things you can do to overcome. Like say for example, you look for a job long time cannot get. So then you have to sit down and reflect. Why is that so? Right? Is it I don't have the skills? Is it somebody don't like my personality is not good enough? Or I don't have the aptitude for that business? Maybe I need to change. Blah blah blah. Right? So you have to be introspective lah about this such things, and reflect on yourself, and then ask for guidance and coaching. Talk to people, friends, who care for you, right? Because advice is free,
Yeah.
right? You ask anybody, they'll just give you some kind of advice, but they have no investment in you,
Yeah.
right? No
Yeah.
equity in your life. So you talk to people who care about you, who love you, and who you can go to the library and read books about stuff and all that. But at the end of the day, it is just down to you to execute. It's exactly what our religion teaches us about. God teaches us about. You must have the mastery. You must do this. You must do that. Sabar, and you execute, and you will find a way. You just follow what the Quran teaches you and what Rasulullah teaches you. I think that's my personal experience. Okay, so I tell my son, hey, you go to the library, or you go to the bookstore. How to be a millionaire, right? How to be a millionaire. Let's say the book is really damn good, lah. So anybody can buy that book, right? You can buy. But what's the difference between you and me? I do something about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The person who takes action will likely go towards that direction, lah. Whether he be, we also don't know. But at least he must do something, lah. Right? So in the information is all out there.
Yes.
Right? It's up to you. So it's one, get data. If I take it from a technology point of view, data gathering, data assimilation, analytics, and then you take a decision, and then you execute. And then you execute. It goes to all of us,
Yeah.
execute, right? So I have some affliction. My health getting old. But I logicize. It's all my fault,
Yeah.
right? You have high blood pressure. You could have done breathing exercises. You could have done jogging, yoga. So everything is there for you. God has given you the information is there.
Yes.
It's whether I did it or not. And because I didn't do it, now I'm faced with it, so I have to do something else.
Yeah.
Kan?
Adjust.
So that the old saying lah, when you're young, you use health to chase wealth. Now you use wealth to chase health. I'm in that position now lah. Although I'm not too bad, but I'm in that position. So my point is that going back to the challenges, it's like this right? So is it really a challenge or not? And then you are different levels of actualization. No? Some people are poorer, some people are richer and all that. You're fortunate, you have a bit more, you can use your resources to help yourself. But not everybody does.
Yep.
Right? But then you might look at the one that less resources, but they are very hungry like the Indonesians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Earn $800 a month.
Enough.
But hey, wow, they want to do next one, I want to become manager. So that grit and determination will definitely make them. And you cannot put Indonesia down forever. They are a huge country with so much talent and all that. So they will come up lah, like China lah. China was sleeping for a long time. And now China is powerhouse, right?
Yes.
US afraid of them. So now same with Indonesia, right? It's a sleeping giant.
Yes.
Right, and despite that, their GDP is still number 8 or something in the world. Indonesia GDP is quite huge, right? Right. So ASEAN, if Indonesia succeed, everybody will be. Hopefully, we all dapat the punya benefit lah.
Yeah.
Singapore dapat people like you who can do business. So you now must be the digital nomad, or you must be a global citizen.
Yeah.
Right. You must be able to adapt in Indonesia, adapt in Malaysia, adapt in Philippines, and all this kind of stuff. So rather than talk about what are the, from time to time we all get our challenges.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the more important is how do you deal with it.
Yes.
The response to it lah.
Correct.
Right. So it's like the famous saying lah. It's not how you fall, it's how you get up.
Get up.
Yeah.
Right. Fall for sure, kena fall one lah. And God will test you lah. Right. And then it's how you react to it is very important. And you must use your brain and your mental faculties and your whatever friends are resources. Like if three of you are friends, you are a resource to each other. You talk and you discuss and hey, what do you think is good for our business, right? Without being emotional.
Correct.
Right? Macam, this fellow. And that's where the devil comes in. So discord between the friends, make your ego more important, how come he's richer than me? That you gotta get rid of those kind of stuff. So with me and my good friends, I have some very few good friends, but they are very, very good friends. Right?
Quality.
Quality friends. So people say that if you have too many friends, you're a fake guy lah.
Yeah.
Because you cannot. It's impossible. Right? So all of my friends are like me. We grew up together. One of my good friend, I remember I drove a Honda Civic, gasket blew, smoke come out from the engine. He drove a second-hand Honda Accord, just started work, tire punctured and all that kind of thing. People steal his thing from Kompel Leka. So you see, now he drives a Mercedes CLS. Right? He's come to. I'm not talking about wealth really, but my point is that he has paid his dues. Right? He did not go to NS, so he went to NUS first. But because he didn't have friends, and he was distracted, so he failed his first year NUS. So he went to Poly, right? Then we were talking about it. I said, hey, you cannot, you have to finish your degree. So he collected money, he gave tuition, collect money, and then went to Canada to do his engineering. He was kind of wanted to follow what I did, like electronic engineering. So he did electrical engineering in Canada, University of Calgary, I think, and came back, got a job, and then climb up lah. Tungkus lumos lah. I mean, you know, first salary not enough, you know.
Slowly climb.
Climb up. Like me, he took the opportunity lah, and people liked him, right? And then he's a salesman, just like me, right? Then he got located in Penang, relocated in Kuching.
Wow.
You know, so then because the semiconductor plant was there, people were buying. So what to do? I mean, he had I think by the time two kids already, but I don't know when he had this kid, but he had to bring his family there. Uproot, go. Right? And so you want to, he had to do what he had to do for his family and for himself. And I had to do what I had to do for myself, right? So don't be caught up in penat lah, information so much. Hey, that's what it is, what?
Yeah.
Correct or not? Then you just learn how find ways lah. I mean, I know it's sometimes not easy. I'm not.
Easy said than done.
I'm not trivializing it.
Yes.
I'm not trivializing problems. Because some people have better capacity to manage than you or me, and some people have lower capacity.
Yeah.
Mungkin dia punya family upbringing is not good. He had not good childhood, so you must be empathetic towards it. But by and large, people like yourself, myself, those who are now considered in a pretty decent space, have got good resources to take you to the next step. So to me, that's more important than the challenge itself. Because challenge will continuously come. Continuously. Even until today, I'm faced with many challenges.
Wow.
Okay. So eventually you become board members of a few big organizations. I think we saw from your profile, EasyLink,
Changi
Airport Group. I think there's I think 4 more, right?
National Art Council.
So how do you eventually get into such position? And if someone were to aspire to be a board member of these organizations, what can they do to actually get into such positions?
Actually, to say it came by accident is not also true lah. Okay, number one, in my career, I was describing to you earlier on, I became a director of a company, of a US company. After it was my third or fourth job. Fourth job. And I was something like 38 years old, 38, 39, 40, thereabouts. And so director for South Asia, I became director. And so there were not many Malays who held this position. So I can tell you that all of us mostly we knew each other who were holding this kind of position, regional position. And so naturally, people like Professor Jacob and all that noticed what I did and all that, and then say, why can you contribute? So how I started with him was I was nominated to the Malay Internet Steering Committee to push the Malay community to the next level through SMCCI, Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce, through AMP, through Mendaki and all that lah. So that's where I got involved a little bit there lah. And then there came a time whereby LTA was looking for a Malay board member because they don't have Malay board member. Daki Sani was stepping down, so I took over because Daki went to Daki is one of the successful batch. I think he was with digital, and then he went to Malaysia, made his name there as well. So I took over his role at LTA for 6 years. And that's how it started lah. And so in LTA, I was more towards, because LTA is an engineering setup, right? Transportation. And so my role there was very much my knowledge of technology that I contributed. And after that stint, two terms in LTA, 3 years each, I then was asked to go to NTUC Fairprice. Because NTUC Fairprice was a brick and mortar. Remember before Red Mart and all that. So my role was to help them to digitalize, contribute lah. I mean, they did it themselves. The directors, I'm non-executive director. So to give advice because of my experience in technology. That was one of my contributions. So in NTUC, I was chair of the technology and innovation committee. So I chaired. It was not easy because NTUC was traditionally a brick and mortar company, and then they had to. And online business at the time was not a money making. So Lazada, we were competing with Redmart, and Redmart was actually burning, right? But because their top line was good, but they were also burning because so at NTUC we took this mode of omni-channel. That means online is just one.
Yes.
Right? But we need to have brick and mortar, we need to have online mix of both online and real-time experience. And that's where they've headed all these many years. And we knew that there was money to be invested in, and my job was to convince them. There was also amongst some other people to say that this is the right thing to do, because if you don't do online, then you'll be left behind and everything like that. And so there's a knock-on effect and all that. So back to the board thing. So that was my role, and said in between that, the AMP asked me to become. I was also board member of AMP because Alami Musa asked me to join AMP board. Because the AMP is Associate Muslim Professional, so they needed Muslim professional to contribute back. So I joined, and then from there, prisons wanted Malay people to contribute to prison. We have many committees, right? I was on the IDEC, Institutional Disciplinary Committee. So I joined IDEC. For 10 years, I was part of the IDEC. I became the co-chairman of IDEC. And so that voluntary work really kind of also, you have to volunteer and give back to society. My intent was to contribute back, in whatever little way I can. And that's how it all started. And then so because of that, I presume that they saw my work or word of mouth, or somebody said, oh, Wahab can do this and he can do that. And so they recommended me to join WSG, and then I believe my chairman of EasyLink knew me for many years, and he said that National Art Council needed this technology thing because the self-employed need to digitize, and non-fungible to NFT came out and all that. So they needed technologies like me. They have other technologies from Google and and Facebook, but I'm one of them. And then there's this thing about cyber security becoming so key, right? And so because I was one of the very few Melayu that does cyber security, so right place, right time kan?
Right.
But then again, like I said, you people appoint you have to do your job You have to contribute. And I was just at the Changi Airport meeting just now with ministers, and I said they were talking about the CrowdStrike outage. So I have to give my view on why I think that the problem hasn't really been solved. It's temporarily solved, but it's not really solved. So that way, then people can prepare on resiliency, because there was a talk in Parliament. They are asking about how resilient are we and all that. So it's not that simple, by the way. So again, coming back to your question but that's how it all kind of pan out. So one thing led to another. I can contribute here, and then this and that, and then energy market asked me, because they got what they call OT. OT is operational technology, which is very difficult to do cyber. So they wanted somebody with cyber background to be their eyes and ears as a board member. So that's how I joined. So I dropped WSG and I joined that one.
Wow.
Wow.
Impressive.
That's a very interesting journey. So you just started with the LTA one and then got referred and referred. Okay.
Correct.
So for our listeners who don't know, what exactly is the role of a board member? Like for you, when you enter, you told them specifically that you can look from the cybersecurity aspect and the technology aspect, right?
Yes.
But generally, what is the role of a board member?
Generally, by and large, the role is one of governance and compliance, right? And the management, executive management, and the management team are the one who executes and does vision, mission, statement, blah. The board provides guidance. The board does compliance, as I tell you, governance and compliance, to ensure that it's like a check and balance. Right? The check and balance. So you have the execution, and then you have the board to make sure you keep the management decent. The straight and narrow, that they walk the path, they say. And then so therefore the board composition is very important. You have lawyers, you have accountants, you have technologists like myself, and then the chairman of the board and the people. If let's say, for example, the government wants a board,
right?
Then the government will say, okay, the board composition should cover this, right? Somebody from somebody who knows real estate, because in NTUC they have a lot of facilities. So somebody must be from there. Somebody must be from investment side, Temasek. Somebody must be at Changi, for example.
Okay.
So for me, it was that lah. For me, it was primarily technology. Primarily my exposure to the technology world, because I have many friends. As I grew up, as I developed in my career. For example, the CrowdStrike one, George Kurtz, the CEO, I was working with him before. He was the CTO in McAfee. So I was in McAfee before.
Oh, okay.
Right? Now McAfee became Trellix, right?
Yeah.
So you make friends along the way. You go to the US, you go for seminars, you go for worldwide meetings, and then if you perform well, people know who you are, and then your LinkedIn everybody wants to connect to you, and you connect to them, and they ask you for help, and you ask them for help. That network is there, right? So I use my network to help the bots as well. Like if I know technology, I will introduce. One of the things is for me to introduce new technology, which I think may be useful to their purpose So that's my role And therefore, like in Changi, I'm sitting on the technology innovation committee, and so I will look at what they tell us, and then they tell the bot, and I'll say, okay, maybe you should look at this tech, and I will introduce to them. Whether they use or not is up to them. Because the bot, that's not the bot's role. The bot role is to provide guidance, governance, compliance, and leadership in terms of making sure that they execute well so that the company can be successful.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's the role of the bot.
Wow. Okay. So if at any point of time in the future we get such opportunity, we should know already what we are supposed to value add to the company itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's in fact, if you know the Singapore Institute of Directors, SID, SID conducts courses on board.
How to be a board member.
How to be, what are the duties and responsibilities of board members.
Okay.
And all that. So I'm a member of SID too lah.
Okay.
Have to be lah, because you want to, right? But you can take courses from them. They can teach you.
Yeah.
And there are universities who actually conducts, INSEAD for example, conducts a board director course. Qualification, certification. INSEAD. I'm also a graduate of INSEAD.
Can anybody take the?
You can apply. Yeah, you can. My friend, one of my former employees, he wanted to follow in my. He thought that he wanted to contribute. So he said, "Hey, how come you can go?" I said, "Well, you have to volunteer also lah. That you cannot expect people to just go in. So go for the NGOs, non-government one. Go for a charitable one where it's pro bono. Right. What I did for prisons. It's not a board, but it's a committee. So you volunteer lah. And when you volunteer, people know who you are. People can see that and then they can see that whether this person can contribute in what way. So you cannot expect the thing just to fly into your path, and then I'm a board member. No, is your all of this work that you do outside that's not related or somewhat related that will get you to that spot lah. Now, will it work all the time? I don't know. I mean, it depends on your fortune and your luck and your risky and whether people like you, people think that you can or cannot. And like I told you, whenever I will join a board, I will have a meeting with the chairman and say, "Chairman, be very clear. I know you need a minority, right? But cannot be that I have to be. You must view me as being that I have the necessary skills, expertise, and competency lah. Because I cannot be token what. Right? Especially Melayu cannot be token. You have to be, you have to do your job lah kan.
Correct.
So that's what I'm very sensitive to that lah.
Right.
You're also a founder of a venture capital fund company. Can you perhaps share with the listeners what exactly is a VC? What is the role of a VC as compared to other or other form of investment firms? And also, how do you come about into starting this particular company?
Okay, there's a few types of investment mechanisms or investment arm lah. One is just simply an angel investor, somebody with money, and maybe they want to find ways to get better returns through clever investments. And you've heard of many startups. Like you could be a startup yourself, right? And in order to achieve your objectives, you need cash, right? So if your product and services are very good, clear, and there's a market for your product and services, and your investor believe or potential investor believe that they can make money from this, and say they will invest in you lah. So you start up from single angel investors or a group of angel investors, just people with money. It's a very loose grouping of people lah, right? And then you go into a bit more serious a registered company like a VC, venture capital fund. And so this is like a fund that again could be consisting of many individuals and or companies or other funds who want to join you and to create this central fund that you can invest in companies like I mentioned to you, Kiskas and what others, like say Lozi in Vietnam and so on and so forth lah. So that's VC, and then the bigger ones with the private equity funds these are huge hundreds and millions of dollars right? And then of course there's other things side to it like the sovereign wealth fund. These are all sovereign wealth fund which we have no comparison lah. So the reason how this VC Reconnects Capital started is through a group of friends, myself, 3 people who wanted the Malay Muslim community to get together, but we did include non-Muslims as well because it's not about religion or race. It's about the core reason started from there. But we had other people who are non-Muslims to join us as well. And then so we pool all our resources and money, and then because we had expertise, I came from tech cyber, another person came from ESG, right, sustainability, another person came from I don't know. Whatever the skill set that they bring, and so we compose together, we collaborate, and then we invested in something like 13 or 14 companies lah. And we are pre-series. That means we invest company before they go for seed. So we are pre-series. So it's a seeding stage lah. And so seeding stage is risky, right? So therefore, your valuation, your analysis of the company must be as best as possible lah. Right, so that's part of my role to look at these companies, whether we think that they are viable or not. So, we've exited 2 or 3. So you buy a bunch of companies, you hope that after 5 years of investing, you exit with many multiples. That's the objective. Hopefully 3x. Right, that kind of thing. If you can get 2x, lucky lah.
For tech, you can go up to 20,
so you can go more lah. So every startup hopes to be a unicorn lah. That means they evaluate at 1 billion, right? But not everybody can be that, right? So for us, we believe that we will not go beyond certain series. So once they hit maybe revenue of 20 or 100 million, depends, we might just want to exit lah. So something like that lah. So we are now in the process of exiting some of these companies. So we look for buyers. Either we sell to another fund, or we get other fund to take over us, or we sell off the company. So like Kiskas, I give you an example. There's a good company, good product, good customers, revenue more than 10, I think, US, 10 million US. And so their target is to IPO in the Indonesian market. Right? So when they IPO, we will get, we sold half already. We sold it half to founders of Bukalapak. I think you know Bukalapak, the Gojek, Grab guys. So we sold half to that. So we've partially exited, 50% exited, and now we want to exit the other 50%, but we want to wait for the IPO lah. So I think IPO, the multiple will be higher.
Correct.
So we got 5x, I think, if not mistaken.
The 50%
for this particular company, Kiskas. Something like that.
The 50% you already got the 5x.
5x. 5x or the 50%.
Imagine the remaining 50.
That's right.
Something to that effect lah. Not giving you the exact number, but about there lah. So that's the VC that I'm involved with lah. But unfortunately, depends. Fortunately, we just did it one time only. We did not continue to raise money. We did not, because this in a way was a bit of an experiment on our part lah. We just had friends and family that we know very well amongst ourselves. You can go to our website and you see who the members are, and then we just pull our resources and then we invested lah. But there were 1 or 2 companies that we lost money, totally lost zero. So that's a risk you take, right?
Correct.
That's a risk you take.
Diversify.
So then we learn our lessons, how to do proper valuation, how to look at the tech, and that's what we do lah. Of course, like I said, the bigger ones will be the PE companies like Investible. These are bigger companies that have several hundred million to invest, or even $1 billion to invest. They have bigger capital, larger capital from individuals as well as other companies that they want. So you may have heard that Singapore has a record number of family offices open up. Many from China lah. So these people are rich people. So then they want to find better ways of investing their money rather than stock market,
taxes,
put in the bank, right? So they invest in this. But there's a challenge because they may not necessarily know about technology, whatever. So then they look for vehicles like our fund. Ours not really, but could be right. Our fund to invest on their behalf lah.
Right.
And then we get paid management fee for doing it lah. So all the PE companies are the same. They get management fee, the time period is between 5 to 7 years. You pay, the management fee and fund fee.
So, do you only invest in tech companies or?
Mostly tech companies.
Mostly tech
companies. Tech companies that we believe, but tech in different fields.
Okay.
Some in software company, some does B2C, B2C, some does B2B, some are cyber companies. So it depends.
Wow. Quite a diverse range, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that adds to our portfolio, but also add to my exposure to such companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a network, So the more you do, like for example, your example, you think should we go to Malaysia or not?
Yeah.
The moment you craft a plan,
Yeah.
and then you start executing, you will find that you'll cross path with many people. Some good, some not so good.
Yep.
Right? But at least better than sitting here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to execute lah.
Yeah.
You have
Fail forward.
You have to fail forward and then find is this a good plan or not. Your products and services may change entirely.
Yes.
You also do not know.
Yeah.
Right? Or you may have a lifetime. That means your product can only last 5 years, let's say, for
Yes.
example.
Yeah.
After that, you got to sell off it.
Yep.
Could be, right? So, but you don't try, you don't know. So you have to go and find your way now. You have to plan it and then execute on it. Money is there lah. The liquidity in ASEAN countries is quite high. There are a lot, but they are quite very careful how they invest their money lah.
Right. Wow. Amazing. So many things into one. One part.
We learn a lot from you. I think there is definitely more that we can actually learn from you. Perhaps in the future, perhaps next year, we invite you one more time.
Probably when we are already in Indonesia.
No, I'm happy to introduce you because the more you, like I was saying, the more you talk to these people, and this, see, when you don't have a contact and somebody else have, and you know them, why not use their, why not leverage? Because it's a business dealing. Do they get something from you? Can they invest in you or something like that? So you have to do all these type things.
Interesting. Do you do like personal consultation?
Yes, I do. So maybe 2 or 3 companies that know of me or have done work with me have asked me to become advisors. Like one of them is because I'm also part of this network or bigger PE firm called Investable.
Okay.
Through a friend, Kairu, who was running our VC, our recognized VC, but he's now worked for Investable. So he's asked me probably because of my expertise and background to help him to analyze and judge whether they should invest in a company or not. And the companies that he's already invested in to take them to market. To go to market,
GTM.
GTM, right? So I will coach them on the GTM part.
Okay.
GTM, like one is a sustainable aviation fuel, something that Singapore is looking at, but not entirely clear. The name of the company is Fly Oro, I can tell you because I want to promote them. Then they've got they've already won one deal in Brisbane. So they are now being looked at in Rome, but Seletar have not decided. So if you want in Singapore also, right? Then there are many small airports that does this sustainable aviation fuel because sustainability is very important to everybody, right? And they are getting more and more important lah. So that's where I become a business advisor or a board advisor to open doors for them to also participate in meetings because they are young people, like 20. 30 like you're young. So sometimes when they talk to senior people who buys from them, they don't know how to negotiate.
So there's a gap in communication.
So maybe they don't get the best deal. Maybe they put across the product and services in not the perfect way. Something like that. So when I was speaking to you about the Myers-Briggs, these are things I coach them how to improve so that why? So that the chances of them closing a sale and bringing revenue is higher. Net of it all, you just want to bring higher revenue.
Right.
That's for startups
Yes.
or pre-series or post-series, Series A, Series B, C companies. So that's what I do to answer your question. And there's one coming in India. It's a cyber company, so I will also be part of their board advisor.
Wow.
Cool. So where can people find you?
I'm mostly at home, playing my guitars at home.
Online?
Yeah, online. I'm on LinkedIn. As Wahab Yusuf, YUSOFF, Wahab Yusuf. And I don't do much other social media like Instagram. I mean, I do have it, but I don't post. I just don't. I think people like me, I'm not saying no good, but I just don't. That's not my cup of tea lah.
Yeah.
LinkedIn lah. It will be,
I have handles,
best
but
place.
that's Facebook. I have handles, but again, I don't post. I don't want to tell the world about my private life.
Yeah.
Right.
Very dangerous.
Yes.
I'm from cyber, right? So people can pick, you know
Yeah.
which square you are, whether you're in country, out of country. You keep on telling the world where you are. You shouldn't be telling people where you are.
That can be a topic by itself.
Yeah. It's cyberbullying, cyber scams.
Yes.
Right? How they do scams and phishing, and so I've been sometimes I talk to you maybe a bit disjointed. That's only because I have encountered many of these things lah.
Right.
In my life lah. I'm one of the fella lucky enough to. Right, so I can make sense out of it lah.
Yeah.
Rather than be inundated. Sometimes you're inundated, I don't want to do anymore. But it's interesting and exciting lah. New things lah.
Right. Wow. Amir, do you have any last questions for Mr. Wahab? Pressing ones before we end. It's okay.
So we usually end off with asking the guest, can you give one best advice that you could give someone who is starting out in their career? What would that be?
I have to give two things. One I've already mentioned, resilience and persistence. So, but it must be, that's easy to say. Two catchphrase.
Yes.
But beneath that must be all of the other things we spoke about lah. Data gathering, getting good advice, doing your homework, planning your future career, understanding what you want in life.
Yep.
Right? Balancing also, whether it's spiritual or religious, or you have to balance. If you have a family, you have to balance, right?
Yep.
So, but these are the principles that you probably want to. Whatever I say is not new lah.
Yeah.
Right? It's nothing new. What are the 7 principles? Integrity, blah blah blah. Everybody know, but whether you execute or not, that is a different. The difference between you and the next guy. Right? So you always. And the other thing everybody needs to have is self-awareness. Don't be fooled by ego or like macam, I'm great, or you must be self-aware lah.
Yep.
You must be self-aware where you stand so that you can improve yourself.
Wow.
Continuous improvement is the other thing lah. I know you asked for one word, but these are like they're all connected. They're all connected.
Yeah, I mean it's like a library of words coming from your experience of doing many things.
Yeah. And I've not always been successful. Like what we've spoken about is some of my successes, but I've failed. I've not been successful also lah.
Yeah.
Of course. Wow. Guys, I enjoy these 3 parts of our podcast today, and definitely we learn from Mr. Wahab from the journey he started off, being retrenched, going through all those financial bad times, and wow, we would like to thank you for gracing today's episode.
My pleasure. Hopefully it gives benefit to your listeners.
Yeah, we hope if you guys want to reach out to Mr. Wahab, you can just connect him to LinkedIn.
Drop me a note.
All right. With that, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching Golden Nuggets Podcast. We're signing off, Nazreen, Amir, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.